God.
Now, I mean, you see progressively more people actually on pedal bikes now cycling around America, and that, for me, I see that largely as crazy. First of all, because there aren't many roads through the back of these. Once you get into the middle of nowhere, there aren't many roads. The cars travel relatively fast on them. I don't expect to find bikes there. And secondly, because the sheer scale of America, what are all those green thumbs for?
So I keep talking. I'm trying to deal with about 100 messages that are coming in for me.
Yes, time to work on the multitasking. Thumbs up for Hayden. That's yeah.
Thumbs
Apparently.
up for Hayden. Oh, okay.
So yeah, the telescopes on that side, and on the other side's the Super Cub, which is, I'm almost feeling guilty about actually going for the price that it does. And it turns out I've actually got loads of spare first-person video gear, to the point where I'm actually considering decking that thing out with first-person video. Just, I mean, it kind of depends who actually buys it. I mean, if whoever buys it actually is fairly determined about it, I've got no real problem with that. But let's just say the learning curve for flying planes can be hard on the hardware. So, like, for instance, this is the plane that I flew almost everywhere. And this guy's got some real damage to him, but most notably, you might be able to see that the actual motor is now held on with all glued on pieces of cardboard. So, but the planes, these things are incredibly robust, in that you can actually sort of snap them in half. I'm almost tempted to do it with this one actually. They're very robust, but even if they do break when you crash, you sort of glue them back together and they're ready to go again. And the first-person video kit tends to be a pain in the ass to deal with. I mean, it's got advantages and disadvantages. I mean, this is the little camera that goes on the planes. I'll hold it up there so you see it. Yeah, they're only about $100, and that's by far the easiest way to get into the aerial video. 8 ohms, Jesus, eh? Zeus. Yeah, I mean, what people call themselves, Perlist sprites, that sort of thing. If you like, the key point is that atheist, if you like, especially in America, has got such terrible annotations to go with it. I mean, you go over to Europe and it's part of the course. I mean, I remember having dinner in, what the hell, is that you doing that, DPR? I'll be right back.
Yes, it is. It's supposed to, I didn't want to interrupt you. It means be right back.
Thank you. Thanks for the translation.
Yeah. You're on your own.
Yeah, so I was over in Europe and there were a load of people having dinner, and we had one American there who was actually a fairly devoted Christian, and he actually asked the question, are you an atheist, to one of these guys around the table. Now, it's obvious from the way that he asked the question that to say yes to this question would have been tantamount saying that you're a communist who ate babies for fun. But, of course, that wasn't the culture. That's not the culture in Europe, and the answer was, yeah, of course. And that just completely floored this, just stopped this Christian dead in his tracks, that people would be the difference that there is a culture out there where atheism doesn't actually just carry all this baggage with it. Hey, Donnie, how's tricks? So, yeah, Europe. I mean, this is one of the interesting things of living in different places, is you get to sample the different cultures. And the flack that I get off the libertarians is interesting, in that I would put folding money that the lion's share of them, 90-something%, have probably never left the country, and yet they purport to have insight into into what's the best way of doing things. Now, I can assure you that, I mean, it's an interesting irony that I actually work in a lab in America that is essentially populated by Europeans, and has almost always been populated by Europeans. And the reason for that is that there are basically no Americans who can do the job. So, I mean, the current makeup of the lab is 2 Swedes, 1 Dutch, 1 Englishman, 1 Chinese woman, and that's it. So the only guy who is actually an American in the entire group is the group leader, as it were, who needs to be American to actually hold the grants. All the work's done by Europeans, which it's interesting that you get all these reflections of Europeans living in America, and the one that is almost universal is just how socially harsh it is to have a culture where there is no guarantee of getting even the most rudimentary healthcare. For instance, if a woman is having a baby in Europe, this is like this is deemed as something that is of such importance that even if you can't afford the healthcare, that the state will actually do this for you. And yeah, you can rationalize this on financial grounds. Yeah, it's not that far to Canada. Unfortunately, the nearest part of Canada, to me, fact, is near Toronto. So, yeah.
Oh, do you know anyone that lives near there?
No one who I would like to meet in either daylight or nighttime.
Can I just interrupt very briefly? I get messaged quite a lot at the moment that I'm in darkness and I'm a silhouette. One of my bulbs has broken. The next time that I put a video on, I'll change the bulb and you should be able to see me again if you actually want to. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
So yeah, and yeah, going back to the flack that I get off the libertarians, in the latest video, which is basically a summary of the videos that I've done over the last couple of years, I tried to distill it down as much as I could to the traffic lights analogy, that we have traffic lights for a reason, because safety and security ultimately have a value. And I thought no one could possibly argue against this. And I was wrong. There are at least 2 videos that have gone up saying, no, if we actually get rid of all, there have been, it's true, experiments where in relatively quiet city centres that, you take off a load of the signs and things can run more efficiently. But that's not the argument I was making. I mean, to an extent, we have done the experiment where we turn off all the traffic lights. They're called power cuts. And universally, when you get a power cut, I mean, a few years ago there was a big one in New York City, and the whole place ground to a gridlock in fairly short measure. So if you like, we've done the experiment where you just turn off the traffic lights, and we've seen what happens. I mean, the system becomes non-viable very quickly. But I was absolutely stunned that people would actually argue against traffic lights. Yeah, I mean, at that point, how do you actually connect to these people? I mean, what can you do? That if people are not willing to accept...
It goes back to a similar conversation that we had in relation to your discussion with Ray Comfort, in a way.